come on, I've been waiting. Come on then, what we're going to do, we're going to build a wall today, and I'm going to show you some bricklaying techniques and how you, the DIY, can start to learn bricklaying. Right, so as I said, I see many a bricklayer who have been taught incorrect, okay? Purple brick. Use your body, let it flow. Your kinetic line is from the back of your head right the way down to your ankles. That kinetic line, use your body. So watch, I see many bricklayers used to repeat. Hold it up there. Now, that's incorrect, okay? The movement, the motion technically has to be right. It's from the waist, okay? Look at the way I'm holding the brick. The thumb, the index finger is important. The brick comes up. Look at the knees bending. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all in my motion. I sort of arch back. I arch with the trowel. I arch with the trowel. I lean back, forward, heel, toe, heel, toe. Now, a lot of people go, what's he going on about? That's why I lay more bricks than you. I'm more efficient in what I do, okay? When you see people swiping high, it's awkward. Not just that long term, it's bad for the elbow, okay? So get it right. Good, so we're gonna go in. Now, remember we've got our mark here. This is the important bit. Imagine this is the Harris, okay? So the Harris of the brick is the Harris there, the outside edges. So we need to go Harris to Harris, okay? So as the brick goes down, I make sure with my thumb, my index finger, remember, I place the Harris to Harris. And then with my thumb, I'm gonna bring the Harris out. There. And then with the trowel, swipe through. Okay, so look what I've got there, Harris to Harris. Now this is becoming important on our next course. Harris to Harris. So again, let's purple up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to hold the back of the brick there because it's my starter brick. I'm going to squash that second brick into number 1. Down Harris, look at the thumb and index finger working. I'm going to bring the thumb forward. The excess muck I'm going to take. Okay? Now, like earlier I was talking about full joints. Look at the full joint there. Look at the full joint there. I see many people trying to change a technique and it doesn't work. It looks awkward almost. Keep the traditional way. The method's been going on years, and listen, your wall will long last and will last a long time. Good. So we're going to put a bit more mortar on here. Again, top end of the trowel. Wait for hold the trowel loosely, and here we go. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Thumb, index finger. Harris to Harris. The thumb's going to bring now the brick over there. The top half of the trowel, sorry, the top quarter of the trowel there, I'm going to use maximise, hold the trowel loosely, and then watch what I do, watch. Stout. So when you become really good, watch. That excess movement there. Pom, 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 it's your next burn. Okay? Good. But that'll come in time. Please don't try to run. Good. Excellent. So now I've laid 3 bricks. So now all I need to do is check her for level. Now she needs to come down just slightly. Zoom in at that bubble, please. Good. Now you're probably thinking, oh my God, I'm trying to make it look not easy. I'm trying to make it realistic, okay? Listen, what you're seeing there is years and years, I be your guide, okay? It's what we call in bricklaying sighting, okay? A good bricklayer sights his bricks in. A good bricklayer uses level as least as possible. But remember you're starting, so don't be afraid to keep picking your level up and checking. Good, so we've got the 3 in now. Right, now we're going to spin the level round to make sure she's in line, which she is. Beautiful. I'm just going to tap the top Harris out. There she goes, lovely. Right, so stretcher bond, 1/2, as I explained earlier. There's your 2, there's your 1. Half bond. Perp has to be half. That's important structurally. So when the weight compresses down, it goes through the joints through the wall. Okay? So notice we're starting there. A little technique, we're going to spread the bed. Here we go, a bit nervous now because you're spreading on top of another face brick.
Oh, can we just go back a bit because he drove fast. You went through that bit there.
What bit was okay?
No, the 2 on 1 and the importance of it.
Okay. Excellent. So now we're going to get the next brick. Squeeze her against brick 1. Hold the brick 1 tight if you have to. There, look at that. Look at the thumb working. Look at the thumb working. In. Look at the way I'm looking down the wall. I'm maintaining that level. I'm maintaining the plumb. Good. Excellent. Well done. So, now we're going to check her for level. Brilliant. I'm glad she's done that because she's a little bit high this end. So all I'm going to do is turn the trowel, use the butt of the trowel, and I'm just going to force a couple of mil down, and she's there. Right. Now, what we need to we know she's level there. Now we need to plumb. Okay? So we need to go upright. This is important, please. Please remember, take your time. So, let's have a look. Beautiful. So we know plumbing point 1 is plumb, plumbing point 2 is plumb. So now we need to put the straight edge through and gently guide the rest in. Now please remember, I've made that look quite easy and it's not, it's ever so hard, okay? Take your time. Plumbing point 1, plumbing point 2, straight edge through. So I know she's level. What we got here? Half a brick to go in, okay? And that helps us keep bond. So the half goes in, so the one hour going over the top will maintain the bond, the perpendiculars go up. So, guys, listen, I'll use my trowel. Hold the brick with your thumb hand there. We're going to cut with the trowel there. Jump. Okay? Now, if you have to, use your hammer and bolster. Okay? I'm only showing you this again. Technically, another technique for you to use. So again, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then we're going to push her straight in. Beautiful. Now, notice the thumb working, the eyes working. Look at the body pushing in. Now, excess muck. Watch. We're going to go across to using again the top quarter. Now, because of the perk, watch what I do. I'm going to go across, then up, and remove the mortar. Hold the trowel loosely. Hold the back, watch. 1, 2. Start it down. Okay? Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's get this nice course on. Again, we're going to practice rolling that muck. Again, look at the body, look at the feet, look at the way I'm leaning, look at the way I'm technically going in. Look at the way I'm leaning in and I pull her back. Beautiful. Edge of the trowel, like we said. Through. Yep, here comes the scrape. Now watch this importantly. Stale that bit of muck. What's the point in putting it on the board and picking it up again? Stale it on your trowel. Pick your next brick up. 1, 2, 3. Good, excellent. Now again, leaning over the top of the brick, sighting the brick in. Look at the thumb and finger working. I'm going to show you now, Harris to Harris. You can see that detail. And now the thumb's going to bring the top of the brick over. Top of the brick over. Excess muck can go back on the perp. Good. And again, the way I pick the brick up with my thumb. Show the starting brick so it doesn't move back. Gently squeeze her in. Look at the thumb and finger. The thumb and finger are working ever so hard. Harris to Harris. There. Up the perp. Beautiful. Good. Excellent. Good. Let's check her for level. Spot on. Spot on. Plumbing point 1 and 2. Good. Straight edge through. Excellent. Good. Now, my next point is now we're going to go diagonally. We're going to go from the top of A down to the bottom of B. So we're going to run the level across there, just to make sure the whole face of the work is doing what it should be doing. Okay, this is the third plumbing point. That's important, the third plumbing point. Now, going back to the early stages, do you remember the gauge we said? 75. Check every course. Now I'm hoping this is going to be slightly wrong so we have another lesson we can show in this. Right, so we should be 4 course So 4 times 75 mil, 300 mil. I'm 301 mil. Good. So I'm 1 mil high. I'm sure they might have got to let me get away with that. Right. So now what we have to do is build the same corner down the other end, okay? And keep it to gauge. Keep plumbing points 1, 2, 3, the same. And that's our starting profile. So what you see me do at the start was break the brick with the trowel, okay? Which is a technique that comes in time and experience. As a beginner, I suggest you use a hammer and bolster, okay? So I'm going to start from the very raw beginning. We're going to measure the brick. We know it's 215, so half of 215 is 107.5. So if we mark it there, good. Scar the brick, and then what I'm going to do cleverly is I'm going to put the mark on the outside, so the mark of the brick goes down to the brick below. That's going to help force the wedge, and the science is going to break the brick into half. So there, give her a scar. Now these bricks tend to shatter quite a bit, so if we're going to just 1, 2. Now listen, I've made that look easy, and I will tell you now it's not. So don't be surprised if you've got 7 or 8 bricks wastage on the floor, okay? It happens. Good. So the other corner's now up. Now watch please. This is what we call the excess muck. Now in slang bricklaying terms, snots. Okay, make sure you clear it. So evidently, yeah, because it goes off ever so quick. Now if you're ready to point, use it for pointing. Okay, if not, always clear at the end of the day. Your snot's off, so it's clear the next day, or for when you start laying. Notice I've done this side already. So I'm going to run a line, because we know point A to point B is level. We put a line up and we can just lay to the line. So lay to the line as much as you can. Now this is what you call a corner block. Now this is an amazing invention. We just push it through there, and we're going to push, and that will hold on there, and we're going to continue the line out. There, and then again we're going to just wrap it through so she's nice and tight and secure. The old saying, tight lines. Tight lines. It's important you have tight lines because you're laying to the measurement of the line, okay, the accuracy of the line. So it's important that your line is tight. Now I like to always put a brick down just to secure the line, okay, just to secure the line. Now I've got a lovely bit of gear on here, so again I'm rolling the muck. The appropriate amount, not too much, because watch what happens. Watch, if I put too much down and I've not gauged that, when I put the brick down, watch how hard I've got to work. Watch, push it down with the hand, I'm getting me trowel. Watch, it all falls down on the floor, makes a mess. You're doing this and you smear the brick and your footwell track is all messy, and then what happens, tends to happen, is anxiety kicks in. Then you get stressed and you start getting the ump, you're not throwing your trowel and going back inside. So, start off with the micro techniques. Remember what I said? Make sure it's nice and efficient. Get used to rolling your muck. There, sharp, here she comes, in. Beautiful. Top court with a trowel. Look at where I spread. Look at where I'm leaning backwards and forwards with my right knee. There. In she goes. Good. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got that purple on there which is already made, what I've done earlier. So this is where it gets important. Remember the Harris. What's the fun? Watch. Harris to Harris. I'm going to straight that so you see. Harris to Harris, Harris to Harris. Now the thumb, Harris to line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Harris to Harris, Harris to line. Ready? Look at the thumb, Harris to Harris. Look at that, Harris to Harris. Now bring the thumb, Harris to line. Good. Scrape the excess off. Excellent, that's what I wanted to happen. Good. Now, brilliant, I'm glad that's happened. It's tight, the one brick is not fitting. Okay, so what does that mean? Good. Right, that means either I've gone too big on the perps, or I've not started on my lines. Now, I know I started on my lines, but what I've done on purpose, look at this joint here. That's bigger than 10 mil. Okay, so I've gone bigger than 10 mil there, so now I've affected and compromised the aesthetically look of the wall. So it's not a problem. Brilliant, good. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... Yeah, I've gone 20 mil there. So what we need to do is edge that back. So, a common mistake, what happens? Brilliant. Good. So we tap her back to 10 mil, okay? I'm okay there, beautiful. Might have a little help out. Good. So, and now she should go straight in. Beautiful. Look at that. Like a glove. Full perps. Cool. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do now, watch. Brick 1 up. Brick 2 up. Elevate the line to the top of the brick. Elevate the line this side. And we're ready to go again. You've noticed I've spread enough bed for 5 or 6 bricks. Now remember, it's hard for me because I'm trying to slow it down and create problems of learning. But my advice is only spread muck for 2 bricks at a time while you're starting off. Because the bricks suck the moisture out the damp, it goes off and you'll be forever trying to whack the brick down. So again, with that small show of yours, just 2 bricks at a time. Good. What I want to do now is teach you something about knowledge, okay, the paperwork side. So, 2 fundamental parts of building a garden wall, okay, is damp, the weather, okay, rain. So from the foundation, okay, we need to stop that water rising up the wall. So it's common to use a semi-engineering, okay, a blue semi-engineering. Then these are built of different materials, okay, ceramic. So when it goes in, the brick doesn't absorb the water, okay, it smears it off. So any water rising, it will stop. In other words, like a damp coursing, okay. But we don't put damp coursing on garden walls because it makes a weak point, okay. So we use engineerings. So always put 2 course of engineerings. They have to be 2 course showing above ground level. So on here, if this is my ground level, 2 course above. So I would have 2 course of blues. This would stop any water penetrating up your wall. Now the next point would be the rain coming down the top of the wall. Now aesthetically I could finish a nice capping with the same brick, but the lifespan on these bricks with the weather coming down onto it is going to expose the mortar, okay, it's going to weaken it. So you're probably going to get 10 years if you're lucky, okay, which is fine if you like that, you know. So I've done jobs for people where clients want the same brick, and they just say, Dean, in 10 years come back and redo it. Anyway, so we're going to cap off with a solid blue engineering, okay? Notice this. No perforated holes, no frogs, so when the rainwater comes down, it just comes off and bounces off. Now that's going to protect the top of the wall. With 2 course of these at the bottom, it's going to protect the bottom of the wall. So then the lifespan of your wall is probably going to go for about 60, 70 plus years, depending on how well the foundation is. Now go back to Victorian times, and it's common to see boundary walls, garden walls, with a roof tile as a coping, okay? And that was the reason. They got it right. You know, we seem to change things in between, and it's good for us because we keep getting work. But notice them walls have stayed up for over 100 years. So think about that, the science of it. Okay, good. So now we're going to run these blues in. Now I'm using a different brick, a different material. These, I'm going to get the underside. Just look at this closely. Just watch this. As you come up, any mortar on there, I'm going to try and do it wrong, it's hard. Smears, smears, smears. So you could be just perping the brick up. See the little smear there? So it's so hard brick to lay. So don't avoid them, work with them. Learn to lay bricks. Now what I'd done was, as a youngster, I took 20, 30 bricks home. When I got become consistent with those 20, 30 bricks, I went and got another brick, 20, 30 of them, then another. So then before I knew it, in time I was consistent with all different brands of bricks. So whatever job I went on, whatever brick I used, I become quite consistent. So I'm going to lay these, and I'm going to give a tip at the end what to do with them. Okay, so let's get these laid. Right, so if we stand back and we have a look at the wall, aesthetically we need to look at it. Right, notice I've got a couple of empty posts where we opened them up earlier. Don't worry about that. They will point through. They will point through. Okay, it happens. But your objective as a good bricklayer is to keep full joints, like I've done down this end of the wall. Purposely done several mistakes here for you to learn from. Common mistakes you will find as a learner. Okay, and that's good. So listen. We need to let that go off before we point it. So that's a great time for me to grab a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea. Right, now, while I was having a little break, we obviously let the mortar go off because we want to now point her up. Now, we don't want to point the wall too wet because it smears the work, and we don't want to point it too dry because it makes it harder work. Now, the muck doesn't want to be the same mortar as you've been using. We need it to be dry. So, evidently what you want, when you notice when I was building the work, I left the mortar axis on the back of the wall. So all I'm going to do is scrape the back of the wall, and I've got a nice bit of dry mortar. The moisture's gone out of that a little bit, so that's good to point. Okay, so I'm going to put it on there. Right, now I'm going to use the first joiner, the ironing tool, the Marshalltown. Okay, what I'm going to do is get the muck. Remember when I styled it, just as I was perping it, so there, and I'm going to stow. Okay, now I need to get the underside of this pointer, this jointer there, and as I push in, I push the trowel up. So there, up, so it stays. Again, push the jointer right into the trowel, so you feel it touch the trowel, and up. Okay, again, there. Otherwise, if you don't push the trowel up, sometimes it stays, majority of the time it goes off. So it's there. Again, from the hips, not there. Okay, relax, just relax. So there. Okay, good. How we start pointing? We always start with the perps. Okay, the perpendiculars. So what we're going to do is start at the top and just slightly push through. Now, remember I'd done 2 examples earlier of full joints and empty joints. Now, because my joints are full, watch, I don't need mortar on it. I can just drag that straight through. There. A good bricklayer will have full joints, so we can just pull through. Now with the empty joints, now I've got to get the muck in and pull it. So don't worry if you start off doing that at first, it's completely fine. So we're going to go along and just pull the joint. Now I need to do the bed joints, okay? So the bed joints, I'm going to use this part of the jointer, the bottom end, and then pull it through there. So we start with the bottom end and pull it through there. So on point of contact, the bottom end comes in. I don't push too hard, and as I pull, I gently even it up. So gently apply the front. Now again, please watch my legs. It's not a, there, we want to pull in one. So there. And then back through. There. Okay? So again, you've got a little hole here. So again, there, and then pull back through. Push. See the gap between the top of the jointer and the mortar? On the way back through, watch. The top of the jointer makes contact, and we pull it through. Good. So again, bottom half, back, top half. So I'm just going to feel the hole there, what I've got, which happens. Again, bottom half, top half. Okay? Now, as you can see some of the mortar accessing up because we've pulled it and now we've pushed the bottom and pushed the top. So this is called head and toweling. So now I need to head and towel. So go through the perk again. Go through the perk again because we don't want those head and towels popping up through the work. Okay? So now I'm going to use my timber joint, this old traditional method. Now what this does, this absorbs the moisture out of the muck, so it makes it easier to point. Aesthetically, it gives it a rougher look. So if you're using a rougher brick, an old rusticy brick, it looks better to joint up with a bit of timber. So all I've done is carve this myself, cut a bit of wood down, rub it against the concrete to create the shape of what you want. So again, what we're going to do in here is push through. Like this, I'm pulling from the top down, pulling from the top down. Excellent. So now we're going to do the bed joint, which is the same. Again, we're going to just pull it through, pull it through, pull it through. So again, head and tail, pull it through, pull it through. Get rid of the tops and bottoms. Good. Pull it through. Pull it through, pull it through. When we use a timber, we're using a rusticy brick to bring out the contour of the shape of the brick. We don't want sharp, steady, consistent lines on an old rusticy looking brick, okay? So again, practice. Do half the panel in a neat jointer, half the point with a bit of wood, and gain that terminology, that experience up. So you're able to lay two different types of brick, and that's important. So looking at my decision would be to go with the Marshalltown jointer on these bricks because they are quite consistent and it looks a little bit more neat and consistent than the pull of the timber. So what we need to do now is to let the work go off before we brush. So while we let it go off, let's check the level. That's the important part. Okay, we know she's level. Okay, and then if we put the work up there, good, we know she's level there. So the wall now, point A, point B is level, plumb, sorry, point A and B is plumb. We know she's level, so then we do the check, the wallpaper check I call it. All the bricks are touching as we go on that diagonal line. So remember at the start of the video, points A, B and C are important. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to brush up. This gets all the blemishes off. All the blemishes off, okay? So that's important. This is what I was saying earlier about using a nice soft brush. Now when you brush, circular movements. Circular movements. You don't want to apply too much pressure because you don't want to be removing water from the bed joints or perps. You just want to be doing light, nice and light, gentle circular movements. So again, for me importantly is the step forward is that. Yeah, nice circular movements, nice circular movements, nice circular movements. Nice circular movements. Good, excellent. Right, so what we've got here is the case of because the mortar's a little bit too wet to point, okay, you've got what we call brush marks in. That's not a problem. All you do is generally, you do this anyway, you go over it, okay? You give it another point through, a gentle one. So all it is another gentle pull through, removing in brush marks. Good. Now what you'll find, remember, we was using lime. Lime doesn't go off, okay? So pointing's always going to be hard. When you get on sand and cement, it actually goes off. The moisture gets absorbed, so you're always going to look aesthetically not as good as sand and cement, okay? Now that'll dry overnight, leave it up, you know, come out and look at it again later on, pick the bits you're not happy with, look at the wall, learn from it, okay? And then take it down the next day, and then we go again. And that's what it's about, you know. With the good thing about today is if you've got this on your iPad or your phone, you can set your phone up or your iPad, put it up, and you can just watch yourself or watch me and listen to it time and time again, wherever you are in the world, okay? And that's important. Okay, guys, the cost of materials to do this, you're probably looking at about £80–90, a small price to pay for you to practice at home. I mean, what's that, 2 Chineses these days, isn't it? So, I know what I'd rather be doing, lamb bricks than eating Chinese. Listen, God bless, thank you for watching. See you later.